is having a hard time lately. The Acolyte was canceled after a poorly thought out, boring, canon-breaking, meandering mess of a first season. This sparked outrage from the dozens of fans who were watching it because they actually liked it, and hilarity from those of us watching it because of how bad it was. Not even an 11th hour petition coupled with a coordinated media blitz aimed to blame the audience and YouTube reviewers for the show's failure could save the show. The last part was particularly concerning because its effort was able to create a media narrative that I feel will be looked back upon as the truth. That The Acolyte was a truly good show that was canceled by review bombing and internet criticism. But as for now, everyone remembers that The Acolyte was canceled because it was trash. The Acolyte was followed up by Star Wars Outlaw, which was nothing more than girl boss vehicle intended to redefine previously known characters and plot points to make the woman the center of it all. A daring and bold move, to be sure. The game was buggy, boring, except for being a source of hilarity, ugly, and dumb. Despite the shills lining up to talk about how innovative, entertaining, and franchise-defining it was, the game has not fared well. Regardless of one's opinion on the game, it was not the win Lucasfilm was hoping it would be. Chalk this up as another loss for Star Wars. And now, we get the news that the Rey movie has been delayed and lost its writer. I can sense your disappointment traveling through the internet backwards in time. This movie, announced last year at Star Wars Celebration and bringing Daisy Ridley out to lukewarm reception, has been purported to showcase Rey rebuilding the Jedi Order. You know, that thing that Luke Skywalker should have done. Directing the movie will be Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, a feminist documentarian who has made her career highlighting sexism and inequity against women and loves making men uncomfortable. The perfect resume for a Star Wars director. Daisy Ridley, whose career has been virtually non-existent since the sequel trilogy concluded, accepted the role without even reading the script, primarily because it hasn't been written yet. Lucasfilm has developed a penchant for announcing big projects at regular intervals to keep the shills and stockholders happy, and this was no different and honestly was to be expected. Lucasfilm has already mined the iconography of the original trilogy. Then they moved on to the prequel trilogy. They took all they could from the expanded universe. What's left for them to refer to but the sequel trilogy? A movie focused on Rey was inevitable. But will it actually happen? There's no shortage of film projects that were announced to great fanfare, tabbing the hottest commodity in Hollywood in that given month, and mapping out multiple films for them, only to slowly fade into the background of projects still in development that will never happen. After the commercially successful, though critically divisive and objectively garbage, The Last Jedi released, Lucasfilm announced an upcoming trilogy helmed by Rian Johnson in 2017. Fast forward 6 years and the trilogy is still in open development, though Rian Johnson has ostensibly moved on to bigger and dumber things. In development, but not happening. In 2018, Lucasfilm announced that David Benioff and Daniel Weiss of Game of Thrones fame would be writing, producing, and co-directing a trilogy of films chronicling the origin of the Jedi. It is believed by many that the rushed and haphazard handling of the final season of Game of Thrones, which suffered near universal criticism, was a result of the duo wanting to move on to something else. Scheduling conflicts prevented the immediate production of the trilogy, and the two seem to have moved on to other things, though Kathleen Kennedy is still open to working with them. In development, but not happening. In 2020, Taika Waititi, at the height of his career, was signed on to direct and co-write a prospective Star Wars film aiming to be released in 2023. Waititi was a hot commodity in Hollywood at the time, producing the critically acclaimed Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit, and Lucasfilm pounced to make headlines. His next movie, Thor Love and Thunder, was not nearly as successful, and the luster began to fade a little. It was also during the production of Love and Thunder where Waititi offered Natalie Portman the opportunity of a lifetime to star in a Star Wars movie. According to Kathleen Kennedy, the project is still in development, but it's not happening. Fresh off the success of Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins was a popular name in Hollywood, being linked to several projects, and Star Wars didn't want to be left out of the fun. Jenkins was announced to be directing an anthology film, like Rogue One and Solo, centered around Rogue Squadron. This could have been a truly good movie, though being produced by modern Lucasfilm does place that in doubt. But delays and scheduling conflicts kept pushing the film back until Lucasfilm removed it from its release schedule. The cancellation of Wonder Woman 3 opened up the schedule, and both parties returned to discussing the film as a possibility. In development, but not happening. In addition to these, there have been several other projects of less fanfare that have popped up and been relegated to in-production status. There was an untitled J.D. Dillard film announced in 2020, an animated film centered on C-3PO and R2-D2, the Lando spin-off series that has been repurposed into a film, and the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie, all still currently in development, but never being released. Nothing ever gets canceled, except for Acolyte. It just gets delayed until everyone else forgets about it. So now you see why the Rey movie being delayed is such a big deal. Lucasfilm needs a win really badly, but they have no bullet in the chamber. Season 2 of Ahsoka isn't going to do it. Mandalorian and Grogu isn't going to do it. And a movie about one of Lucasfilm's most unpopular characters usurping the role of a beloved character that the studio destroyed, directed by a woman who seems to harbor genuine animosity against the franchise's primary audience, isn't going to do it either. Lucasfilm has suffered numerous flops and financial losses, and I think that, despite Kathleen Kennedy's love of the Rey character, even she realizes this film will flop. She's waiting for a win to go out on a high note, and this isn't it. Lucasfilm is caught in a conundrum of its own making. It jettisoned proven popular stories and characters, bastardized its own properties, and alienated the majority of its fan base in favor of political messaging and a separate woke fan base that never materialized. The studio has tried everything it can think of to produce a successful production, outside of writing a good story with likable characters, all to no avail, mainly because no one at Lucasfilm understands what it takes to make a product people actually like. Remember, The Acolyte is peak 100% pure Disney Star Wars. That's what they think Star Wars should be. Their goals and worldview are different than their audience, and the audience is obviously the one in the wrong. This isn't a knock against Daisy Ridley. From what I've seen of her, she is a wonderful woman who got caught up in a franchise that was intent on destroying itself. More on this at a later date. And whose career simultaneously began and ended with the Star Wars trilogy. Will this new Jedi Order movie be the revitalization she's hoping it will be? Will it happen? I'm not so sure on both accounts. What do you think? Will this movie ever be made? If so, will it be a hit, or just more of the same from Lucasfilm? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching.